Well, let's move straight on to your brief, shall we, Home Secretary, and some fairly significant changes that you're making today to immigration policy, the detail of which has already been quite well reported. So I wonder if you might just establish exactly what the point of all this is. What is the end goal of the changes that you're making to the immigration system?
So today I am effectively announcing a new plan for immigration. And this builds upon the work that we've already done with regards to immigration. So we've ended free movement, we've developed the point-based system, but that's the legal side of immigration and migration. We have a fundamental problem actually in the world when it comes to illegal migration. And lives are being lost too frequently with people trying to basically travel, flee, but also come to the United Kingdom in the hands of people smugglers. So today I am announcing changes which will be subject to consultation, and I'll be announcing this in Parliament later on today. There'll be a command paper where we're looking at a range of options as to how we can reform the entire asylum system. And importantly, for people that are fleeing persecution from terrible parts of the world, we know for a fact there are something like 80 million people that are displaced in the world. We want to create safe and legal routes for them in terms of how they can be protected and also be received in our asylum system in the right way as asylum seekers and be supported in their resettlement in the United Kingdom.
Tell us then just a little bit more, Home Secretary, what are these legitimate routes to claiming asylum here in the United Kingdom? As things stand, isn't it the case that you have to be in the United Kingdom to make an application for asylum?
Well, that's the point. We are looking to create safe and legal routes to support people that are fleeing persecution. Currently, we have records number of people. Even yesterday, we had 150 people in the hands of smugglers come over to the United Kingdom.
No one denies there is an issue with people coming across the Channel. I'm just wondering what these new legitimate routes to claiming asylum will be.
Well, we're publishing a paper today where we're discussing and putting out to consultation how we will develop new safe and legal routes, working as we do already as a government with the likes of UNHCR, refugee agencies, to support people who are fleeing, but in country. So in country and how we can develop those routes, because this is really important. By developing safe and legal routes, we stop people from being put in the hands of smugglers and people traffickers. Too many people have died trying to come to the United Kingdom. We've got to break this people smuggling model. We've got to put in safe and legal routes. And we've actually got to be able to help genuine asylum seekers, not just flee persecution, but be resettled in the United Kingdom. Currently, our asylum system is overwhelmed. We have a number of areas that we are announcing today where we're looking at.
Where is the evidence, though, Home Secretary? Where is the evidence that where is the evidence that these changes will convince people not to take these routes? I mean, if you're fleeing genocide, if you're fleeing rape gangs, if you're fleeing war, your priority is survival. It strikes me that the first thing that people will want to do is get away rather than necessarily pop down to the British Embassy.
Well, actually, that's exactly why we will create safe and legal routes working with the right kind of partners. And to be frank, now, we've done this already. If you look at the Syrian resettlement scheme, 25,000 people have been resettled in the United Kingdom through a safe and legal route. And this is effectively what we want to create much more of to help people. Currently, the people that are coming over to the United Kingdom are predominantly individual men, leaving behind women and children that are fleeing persecution, that desperately need help. And we need to change our asylum system from an end-to-end perspective. So there are lots of structures that we need to change within the system itself. We need to change our approach, not just to caseworking, but the way in which we can help people, yes, get to the United Kingdom and be resettled in the United Kingdom. And currently, we simply do not have an effective system that is doing that, because our system is being gained by people, smugglers and facilitators. And this is what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. Nearly 60% of what we have in our asylum system right now, people there have come to the United Kingdom through illegal routes, put in their own.
We've made that point. We've made that point, Home Secretary. I just want to know what happens, though. The biggest problem appears to be people on the other side of the Channel coming to the United Kingdom and claiming asylum. Under the new system that you're proposing, if people cross the Channel illegally, claim asylum and have that asylum claim fail, what happens to them?
Well, part of our plan and our approach will be around how we remove people and return people to their countries that they have travelled from. So we have to remember the
majority...
We
don't have any arrangements in place with the European Union for that to take place?
Well, we will have arrangements in place, and that is what we're doing right now in terms of bilateral negotiations to put arrangements in place. And it's important to remember, if you're fleeing persecution, people can claim asylum in the first safe country. So France, Germany, Italy, Belgium, Spain, many people are travelling to the United Kingdom from these safe countries. So the principle of fleeing persecution under the Refugee Convention and seeking asylum is very much about, yes, going to a safe country, and people are still shopping through safe countries and coming to the United Kingdom.
But all of this rests on those bilateral agreements, doesn't it? If Germany says no, if France says no, if any of those countries say no, then we will, in essence, have a situation in which people are, indefinitely detained in the United Kingdom?
Well, it's not just about European Union countries, and I think it's important. You've already heard me say, Neil.
It's quite a lot about European countries, though, isn't it?
People who are displaced around the world right now. EU countries also have a moral duty and a responsibility to be part of this solution. And today I'll be at the G6 talking about this very issue and making the case for reform of asylum, and absolutely sticking to the principle of claiming asylum in the first safe country, because currently that is not taking place. We all have a moral duty and responsibility to save lives and stop people smuggling. And this is a collective endeavour where we must all step up.
Is part of the proposal that's being put out to consultation the idea that places like Gibraltar, the Isle of Man, could be used? Can you reject that speculation? Certainly it was rejected by the authorities in Gibraltar.
Well, first of all the time people are being trafficked and smuggled through illegal routes. We as a government have a duty and a responsibility to consider all options, and that is the purpose of our consultation. So we will look at third country removal, and we will also do that alongside looking at bilateral agreements. So this will be work that this government is undertaking right now. And as part of this consultation, we will put all options on the table in terms of working with their countries. And countries like Denmark are already exploring options like this. And we will continue to explore bilaterally options in terms of returning and removing people that have come to the United Kingdom illegally.